Hello, Kansas and Western fans. It's time for episode 29 of the construction of the Kansas and Western HO scale railroad. We'll start over in the Royal Gorge route, which is where I've been tasked to work for the last couple weeks. We'll talk about that area, and then we'll do a full area or a full layout tour for new viewers and to remind everybody all the different options for voting for this weekend's poll. All right, starting down here in the Royal Gorge route, this is what I've gotten done for the last couple weeks. You can see the foam stacked up there for me to work on basically this giant rock wall that's going to go the length of the Royal Gorge route, and that's going to terminate right down there in that curve. After doing a lot of research, watching a lot of videos, this is the method that I chose. I agonized for a while about how exactly to stack this foam like this in these strips, because I just wasn't sure how to get started. And so what I decided was just to get started, just to start trying this method, placing foam in varying thicknesses at these heights, and then gluing together on top of each other. Nothing has been glued to the backdrop because I realized with the way this is built that if I don't like how it turns out, I could just cut it out and start all over, and it wouldn't be any damage to the layout. And so I decided just to cut them cut pieces of foam in strips, glue them on top of each other like that. And then over here in this corner, I started to carve it with several different types of knives. Basically, I'm using a razor knife, and several people have done it this way, so there's not really any point in me going into detail, but you can see how it's been scored. I've painted it a few different colors to try to see how it'll look. This isn't the final look at all. I've basically been experimenting with colors, with looks. There's a few areas where I use some joint compound to fill in some gaps, because you can kind of see, even with the paint colors, you can see the different layers, and I obviously need to hide that for a final look. But this is just all me just experimenting, just trying to figure out how I want to make it look. So far, I'm not unhappy with the results. Obviously, since it's not finished, it still needs a lot of work, but I'm happy enough with the possibilities that I've decided to continue with this. So this is how much I've gotten done so far. I still obviously need to finish this whole area. And then in this area where this gap is going to be, it's going to be tapered off, kind of how you see that foam there, towards the backdrop. And then behind this bridge that I'll be installing, you can kind of see how the mountains kind of form a U or a V shape back there. I'm probably going to do a commercial backdrop in this area, just because obviously there's not any room to do a full 3D perspective of that gap. So the commercial backdrop will look something similar to what you see there. Anyway, that's what I've been working on for the last couple of weeks. Doesn't really look like much because it takes a lot of effort to do it this way. And I'm not upset about that either. It does take a little bit of time, but I really had fun doing this. I don't know if I spoke about this in my last video or not, but once I realized that doing landscaping on a layout was semi-similar to doing landscaping for my own house, I started to enjoy it a little bit more and not fear it so much. And so, anyway, moving on, I decided to paint the river. I went to the hardware store and didn't really have any idea what to start with for a color. Obviously, it's not blue. But what I did was I held up my phone with Google Earth opened up to the Royal Gorge area and just tried to paint match what I saw on Google Earth. This ended up being a lot darker than I wanted, but since it's the bottom of the river, that's okay. And obviously it's just a coat of paint, so I can always change it. So, but it looks better than all the overspray that I had before. So it actually doesn't look that bad. Anyway, this area here, I'll probably be redoing. I really liked using the 1-inch foam slices, or the pieces that I used over there, because it's a lot easier to cut 1-inch foam and shape it the way you want. And 2-inch is a little bit more difficult. So all this is going to come out in favor of what I did over there. But I'm very interested. This is the first attempt I've ever made at this, so very interested to hear opinions and thoughts, suggestions, any of that. what I'm forgetting, leaving out, whatever. But for the time being, I'm going to continue working on this if the Royal Gorge route continues to win the poll. And you can see the portal, that's where I've got that put. I've weathered the ties in this area. I've been debating with myself about whether or not I want to go ahead and ballast just this little section before I build this up, because obviously this is going to be built up into layers like over there, and there'll be a top put on that, and then this whole area here will be filled up and you won't really be able to see any of that. So I wanted to ballast that area before it's impossible to reach. So I might get that done yet this weekend, I'm not sure. Anyway, so that's the work on the Royal Gorge route. Moving on, we'll do a tour of the layout now, just so everybody has a reminder of what they can vote on for this weekend. Moving on from here, you've got Canon City with its gravel company. It's a rock and mineral company, rock, whatever it's called. And the station, still have to work on assembling some downtown buildings here to see how that's going to fit. And then we move down here to the Portland cement plant. Not too many structure yet to build, but obviously lots of detail and paint to add, so forth there. And then we'll move around. Workbench is getting messier. And down here to Pueblo, I'm throwing some of these trees out here just to kind of remind myself I want to build this up to hide that kind of portal there, so you can't see that. And areas like this will be where I use that 2-inch foam. Because since it's a much smaller area, it won't require as much cutting, but it'll be a lot easier to form smaller areas with that 2-inch foam and use less material and build that up just to kind of hide that portal. And I'll do the same thing on the other side as well. Still have a lot of track laying to do here. I really just have this first siding laid. I still do all these spurs. Haven't worked on this anymore, obviously, because this hasn't won the vote, but that's something that I can work on here to build this kind of smelting plant. And down here into La Junta yard, this area here really needs just the track painted, backdrop put into place. I still need to finish this bridge, need one more section of this bridge to be put in here, and then crossing of a small river where this switch lead is in the main line to go in this area. This will be kind of a marsh area here where you see this plywood. Otherwise, just track painting and weathering and a lot of ballast work is ready to work on here for La Junta. I'll move around here to Lamar. Still have quite a few structures to work on here, like this seed oil refinery here, this fertilizer distributor here, and this grain elevator with a couple more grain bins to build down here. And of course the backdrop to put into place here. Wrap around here to Holly. This track here has already received its base coat. It's ready for more weathering. I've done quite a bit of track weathering here on the main line, so I can finish the weathering here. Got a few more kits to build because I am still trying to make this scene look like Holly in reality. So I've got this grain elevator here, the water tower there. Still need to add these two structures here on the left, maybe an office over there. And then in the background, that tree hides it. You can't really see. There's a modern large concrete silo that's connected to that elevator that I want to put back in this area. And I have most of the kits that I need for this, so this is a scene that I could fill out a little bit more if I just get the time to work on it. And then moving up here to the Holcomb Power Plant. Still obviously have to finish the track here, and that can't be done until I finish this distribution assembly here that ties in with the power plant itself, just to make sure I have everything worked out for space, and then I can finish the spurs that feed that and tie them in over here to Garden City. Garden City, several kits to build here for both the fuels plant, fuels terminal, and then the cattle feed plant here. And then moving around to Charleston, primary elevators in place, just needs lots of details. And then still need to add an office and then a home in this area, and that'll be it. And obviously a backdrop. And move around to Wichita. This is just going to be a wooded area with maybe a pond in the front. So just a little bit of scenic landscaping type things here. And wrapping around to the Wichita Industrial Park. Lots of industrial stuff to add structure-wise here. And none of these spurs have been built that you can see in the background. Those haven't been added because I want to get these structures added in the back first to make sure there's room. Just several little spurs here with a tiny little yard. A lot of switching going on there. And then wrapping around to the Wichita yard. Again, this silo still needs lots of work. It's kind of just standing in for itself now. A lot of painting needs to be done, detail work added. More silos to go up against the wall back there. And then, of course, lots of track detail left to finish. Then we'll wrap around to the UP side of the yard. I do need to add a small office building there for just for the yard crew to have an office. That's where that car's sitting. And just lots of detail work to add. And then this will probably be a Cargill structure here with several silos just to kind of help break up this view. I won't be able to hide it completely, but I do like the separation that the silo offers and would like to continue that a little bit with these silos here. Then I'll wrap around here with kind of a scene transition into Towanda. Still have to flesh this scene out. And this several oil pump jacks to add with a tank battery, just transition from Towanda over to Dorado. And this will be the Mears fertilizer plant. Lots of structure details to add to make it look somewhat similar to that scene. Not exactly, but definitely want to flesh this out some more. And we transition over to the El Dorado yard, which also services, here's that picture, BG Products and Barsoil Chemical, which are located right next to each other in El Dorado, serviced by these two spurs here. So we'll make this scene look like the track area there. And then that transitions over to the El Dorado Refinery. Have done a little bit of work on that. Have a lot more to do. This whole central area will be filled up with refinery type structures, loading racks here in the foreground, and so on. In the back, this transition in front of the breaker box. Since this is a lift-out bridge, won't be doing too much to that besides painting the track, painting the bridge itself, and then I think I'm going to plant trees in front of the track to kind of hide the transition totally, because I can't really do much of a backdrop because the breaker box is there. So I'll probably just leave it painted blue, but in order to just make sure people realize you can get to it by just lifting that out, I don't want to do too much to this. And then we'll transition over to Union Tank Car Company. Still have to install a backdrop here, do about a 12-inch backdrop here in front of the window, and then all the way down to that corner. So that's a full tour of the layout. We will open up the polling again for this weekend. Just be sure to include in the comments below what area of the layout you'd like to see me work on for the next couple of weeks, or aspect. In the comments below, you'll see all the options. Really appreciate all the feedback. And one other detail I wanted to add, my wife mentioned to me the other day, she asked if I had seen any little details that I didn't recognize in the past. And I said no. And she finally had to point out, she's introduced Bob Ross of sorts to the layout. And so apparently she's been getting into this a little bit by buying some details at Hobby Lobby and just randomly adding them around the layout. So I thought that was funny. So keep your eyes peeled in some of these videos for little details that she's added that I haven't even seen. So that's kind of fun. Anyway, include your in the comments below what vote you would like to place for what we're working on for the next couple of weeks. And I will tally the votes from this weekend on Monday, probably Monday night, and shoot another video to share the results of the video, or the results of the vote. And we'll see what we're working on for the next couple of weeks. So thanks everybody for your comments and suggestions and questions. We will see you in over the next weekend. Talk to you Monday. Thanks for watching.